Some breaking news about NIO and their plans and their successes and also their failures, but we will try and cover as much of it as we can. NIO's got some good news out, and we'll find out what it is. I'm joined by Herbert from Brighter, who is brighter and makes me brighter, and I appreciate that. I'm Brian. Welcome to Future Ozza. So NIO, big article out today. Let's get to it.
Mhm.
They have been working hard on NIO Readies its first mass market EV after taking apart a lot of Teslas. Its
Nice.
first mass market vehicle. I'm going to just push back on that headline a little bit. They've already sold quite a few vehicles. I guess, okay, the L60 SUV will be cheaper than the Model Y. That it's challenging. It'll be about 35 grand. The new one, more affordable sub-brand, comes 10 years after the company's founding. That's good progress. NIO in May rolled out its 500,000th electric
Great.
vehicle.
Yep.
Wonderful. And that's why I was confused by the mass market thing. I mean, you've sold 500,000. Do you know how many companies have never sold their first 500,000th cars?
Mhm. I've heard this statistic that I've been repeating it several times, that I've heard somebody say that you need to have 200,000, and once you get that number, you can then take advantage of economies of scale. And so all of these, the legacy automakers who make 20,000, 25,000, 50,000, and then they slow it down. I mean, it's unfortunate because they need to get, in order to finally get the economy of scale, to get the cash flow coming together, you need to get the 200,000 plus. So these guys selling in China, and they're going to both go global next year. It's great for them to have that market and sell enough, and then get past that scary stage.
And that's exactly what this looks like. The cost of materials needed to build the L60 will be 10% less expensive than what's used on the Model Y. So they
Mhm.
found ways to do things a little cheaper, cut a corner or two. There are elements uh, in the Model Y that are expensive. The FSD suite is expensive. You could just cut that and get a big chunk of your savings right there. The L60's lower power consumption to increase range also saves money. So I assume, unless they've got an incrementally better battery or a motor, that this would mean that they've got a little bit less horsepower. Let's just not make it so you can romp off the line like a jackrabbit, and that will increase your efficiency and make some customers happy. We've
Yeah,
taken,
I like
yeah,
I like that they took a look here, and they're like talking about that they've took apart so many Teslas. So number one, you recognize, that Tesla is the leader. You recognize that they know what they're doing, and you study them. You study them like crazy, and they're public about that. That's great. That means that they know what they're doing. And then two, though, the thing that confuses me is that while they're copying Tesla, which is I think a perfect strategy, the right thing for if I was a competitor, you should do. But what about the battery swapping? Like, why did they decide to do that when you've heard Tesla explain that battery swapping doesn't make sense? You need multiple batteries to support the program rather than having a battery for every vehicle that you make and then just have superchargers everywhere. But that's the only thing that's unusual, right? Because they're copying Tesla, and yet they're not.
yes. And when you say that right here, we've taken apart a lot of Teslas and we're looking to make them even better. I see people who see that and say, see, they're stealing our tech, they're copying.
Mm.
But point out that Caresoft recently tore down a BYD Seagull or Seal. I don't remember which one. This is normal. This is what companies do. Whenever the new hotness comes out, they get one and they tear it apart to find out what's under the skin, what makes it tick, what lessons can be learned, and what we can do better. No one's trying to make an exact copy of a Tesla. If they do, all you'll get is a slightly more expensive, slightly not as good Tesla. That's not a winning strategy, I don't think. But everybody does this and everybody has since forever. Why battery swaps? It's a
Mm.
differentiating factor in the market. It's unfortunately desperately expensive and has a lot of gaps in how it works that will make it difficult, if not impossible, to scale. Jordan Giesecke from The Limiting Factor made a fantastic video covering this topic in depth, and
Mm.
I've made a couple, so we won't go into it too much, but the idea is it's very expensive for them. And I did see a number that said if you want to just rent the battery from them, it's something reasonable, like I think $80 a month or $100 a month. And it's like, that's 10 grand over 8 years.
Yeah.
That's not reasonable at all. 8 years is the minimum mandatory battery warranty. If it dies during that time, you get a new one anyway. Why would I pay you an
Mhm.
extra $8,000 while it's under? I don't know, man. Well, but then it's gonna, then you've got still got a new battery, right? One that I don't own and have to keep paying for. CATL's already got a 1.5, a 1 million mile
Million?
warranted
Million, yeah.
battery.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it for 15 years. So batteries are not the concern, but okay. So jumping back over here, yeah, they're looking to release this reasonably soon. And again, they've got a lot of money behind them or a lot of sales behind them. So let's go to here is their
That's the other thing that worked well, right? Because the strategy was go premium, and then if you're able to do premium and get cash flow positive, do you have the cash flow sign for these guys? Because I've seen that
it's
whole
bad.
graph where Neo,
It's
everybody's
bad.
really bad. But you need to make the profits from the premium to be able to afford to be able to then build the mass market. So for these guys to go mass market, um,
It's the thing is, if it's what if they were alone in burning cash like crazy, it'd be a
mhm,
deep, deep concern. But as long, they're not dead yet. So here's their global sales in April. Is this global or just China? I don't remember here. Anyway, XPENG is up, NIO is up. Xiaopeng and NIO
mhm,
both up sharply in year-over-year sales. This is their growth is on the right track. January through April sales, NIO slightly up. But I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's a tough market. Interest rates are high, up 21% for the year. I think that's promising. Are people going to love these vehicles? Less known. My good friend, I say that, my friend, my associate, AJ, NIO sales and product split in Germany. NIO sold in April, 5 cars more than in March. And in the first
mhm,
4 months, NIO sold 155 cars in Germany. So what this tells us is those big sales are all in China.
mhm,
And it's different. It is a tough market to try and compete on both of them. Yeah, outside of China is very different. Vehicle sales in Germany, this is their various models. Now they have 4 models selling in Germany. That's fantastic. I don't know if that's the right approach or the wrong approach, but you can see their total is not doing great compared to historical figures, and I'm not sure why.
mhm.
But yeah, Europe is NIO's largest market outside of Asia. So I don't know. I don't think that's great, but I don't know what to say. Um, I'm hopeful about their trajectory. I'm not convinced that it's on the right path, but we shall see. Uh, what are your thoughts on Chinese EVs generally?
What are my thoughts on Chinese EVs generally? Whoa,
Yeah,
that's a big question. I've
yeah, yeah.
interviewed quite a number of
Got to
people who are
stretch it out. Stretch it out.
quite of experts in China. And so, I mean, what's the answer? So obviously they are, they're going in the Chinese market. It's a bloodbath in the Chinese market because there's so many electric vehicle makers out there, and the growth is significant. And so you're watching, a price war not initiated by Tesla, but they had to respond, and so lots of the ones who were just trying to struggle to get through, they died. They're struggling. BYD's, of course, doing very well, and then as they sell into Europe, and some of them are now trying to go global. Even Neo here has said that they're going to go global by next year. They sold 155 in Europe. They're going to now have to deal with tariffs, and but as they go global, I think you told me this, right? When they try to go global, they don't sell the cars. They try to go with a premium brand because they don't want to go to Europe and show a cheap car. They want to come in and say we are tech forward, we're a tech company. This brand is they want to wow people going, wow, the quality of the Chinese is actually higher than we realized. And so they price it higher. And that's why you see less sales in Europe. But it's about the image. But they will make it. Obviously, they will make it. You've heard Elon say it's going to be Tesla and the next nine, the top 10 automakers will be Tesla and nine other Chinese makers. Um, these guys make good cars and
It
they're learning. And you can see that they break down many Teslas. They're figuring out how they're doing it, and they've got the factories, they got the know-how, they got Tesla there to act as their example, and they're going to try to model that as much as they can. So they will win versus, especially these guys who are like pure electric vehicles. In China, many of these guys started off trying to do kind of a combo between ICE cars and electric vehicles, and then they quickly learned that that was failure. So they just completely just went right in, all in EVs. The government supported them doing that, and so they will win. It's like, in my mind, it's only going to be the pure EV players who end up winning. BYD made that switch a while ago. Meanwhile, these legacy automakers, the European ones and the American ones, they're struggling. They're holding on to their past. They're not going to make the big bets. So it's these guys will do fine.
And I think I can't speak for Nio specifically or Xiaopeng specifically, but considering they've made it as far as they have, I think they understand the path from here forward.
Mhm.
They could regroup and rest on their laurels and post a profit next quarter if they really wanted to, at the cost of future growth. I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to keep being as aggressive as they can with their growth. When it comes time to enter the North American market, now these cars can
Mhm.
already go to Canada. Maybe they want to do a limited swap station
Right.
situation in like Vancouver or Toronto or somewhere like that. But what they should do is take all the money that they were going to blow on setting up these swap stations and build a factory
Yes.
in Mexico. Build a
Yeah. Yeah.
factory in Mexico, because that's the solution. The swap makes
Yeah.
the cars heavier. It constrains what they can do with the form factor of a battery in the future. If every battery has to fit into every car, that means you're design locked on a lot of
Yeah.
aspects of your battery today, and it's too early to be doing that. So we'll see what happens. I'm excited either way. In the comments, what did we miss? What did we misunderstand? Tell me how wrong I am about Neo. I'm sure the comments will be as civil as they always are when I talk about Neo. And if you guys get a chance, maybe let's see here, maybe help me out on Patreon, because that's how I am able to do all these things. Like YouTube, and generally speaking, YouTube. X.com, you can support me a bunch of different ways. That's how I'm able to go to these big, fun events like this one, where I'll be at the end of the month, the Tesla Takeover Europe, the X Takeover, where we will have a bunch of great speakers. Alexandra Mertz will be there, Justin the Bearded Tesla Guy, Jan from TeslaFix, Lars from Best in Tesla, a whole bunch of your favorites, and also me. So that'll be great. Yeah, and everybody else, like, subscribe, do the usual, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I cannot wait to hear from you in Flachau, Austria.